Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Boston University Graduate School of Arts and Sciences virtual information session. My name is Patrick Donahue. I am the Assistant Director of Master's Admission and Recruitment within the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Just to give you a sense for the format of the presentation today, we will be covering a number of larger sections, including the application process, life at Boston University, and some of the details about your program of interest. There will be opportunities to ask any questions throughout the presentation. If you want to submit them through the chat box, which can be accessed through that top bar there, you can send them throughout the presentation, and then I can address them during those question points. And then there'll also be a section towards the end where I'll have open space for any questions that you guys may have. So just talk a little bit about Boston University and who we are. We're a top-ranked institution within the city of Boston, Massachusetts in the US. We are located almost in the heart of Boston, a really bustling academic city. There's about 50 schools and colleges in Boston, so we're a very student-centric city. We have all of the resources of a large institution, so even outside of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, there's a number of other graduate institutions here. We also have a large undergraduate population, so BU has a lot of really great resources that it offers up for its student body. But then we also have a really close-knit feel. We have not only the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, which is our community within there, but within the academic departments themselves. They have their own sort of small-knit community within their individual department areas. And in terms of top-ranked programs, our economics program was ranked number 23 in the country by US News, and our computer science programs were ranked 49th in the country by US News, and these are recent rankings. The remainder of our programs are all within the top 100, so we're very competitive in terms of the programs that we offer. Just a quick note as well, this presentation will cover our master's programs. We do offer a number of PhD programs, so if you have questions about those, feel free to reach out to me after the presentation, or you can ask questions about them during the questions section, and I'm happy to cover those as well. So just to talk a little bit about the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences and what it looks like for our students. At the crux of all of our programs are a sense of collaboration. So working not only with other programs and other schools within BU, but also within the other schools in the Boston area. Just to give an example of this, some of our students in the economics program, if their career path leads them into an area that might focus on business, some of them might take classes through the Questrom School of Business if that fits their specific career skill set. We also have a consortium with a number of other Boston area schools like Boston College and Tufts, where students can take classes over in those institutions if they fit within their curriculum. In terms of research, we also do a number of cross-college research projects with a number of institutions. MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is just across the river. Harvard University is fairly close as well. So even though we might have research projects going on campus, they might be collaborating with other institutions in the area. And then our other crux is putting theory into practice. So really taking those skills that students learn through their courses and applying them into their fields. One of the really great examples we have of this is within our Master of Science in Statistical Practice program. As part of the program, students participate in a consulting project with one of the companies in the Boston area. So they work in a small cohort and they actually deliver a product for that company. One of the companies we're working with this year is the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority, which is a transportation system in the city of Boston. So they're directly working with that organization to deliver a product, and they're actually putting the skills that they're learning through their courses into this project work. So it's really exciting. We are, as I was mentioning in the previous slide, located in the center portion of BU's campus. We're in close proximity to the Student Union on campus, which has a dining facility, a number of study spaces. We are also closely located to our Fitness and Recreation Center, or the FitRec, where students might typically take some gym classes. So we're pretty centrally located in terms of being able to access the resources that Boston University offers. And as I was mentioning, we do offer master's and PhD degrees across the following areas. Computational sciences, which would include things like computer science and statistical practice, social sciences, like psychology and sociology, natural sciences for programs like chemistry and biology, and then the humanities, which covers programs like English and history of art and architecture. So we really cover a vast group of different topics that students can pursue. And along the line of sort of collaboration, students can collaborate within the different departments there. So if they are in the energy and environment program, but they also have interest in stuff that relates to preservation studies, they might be able to collaborate with those faculty as part of their program. So just to cover a few numbers of interest as well, we were named one of the most innovative national universities in the US News and World Report. This has been 2 years in a row, so this most recent one was from 2019. There are only 36 schools selected for this category. And one of the ways that we do that is through a number of centers here at Boston University that promote students' ability to be innovative, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom. We have a recent facility that was constructed called the Build Lab, which is a space where students can go and propose ideas for apps or companies or entrepreneurial sort of ventures, and they can work with business professionals there that can help them draft up career plans, projections, what they would need for staff, what they would need for resources, and help them to pursue those goals. And that doesn't have to necessarily relate to your major. So if you're a computer science student, but you want to create an app that revolves around clothing stores, you could do that as well. It's a really great space to come up with creative ideas and try to put together a plan to actually put those ideas in motion. We have a large number of career connections. We've been around for a very long time, and because of the vast number of our programs, we have a really large alumni network that spans internationally, from China to Boston, but also through a number of countries throughout the globe. And we are really well connected with our alumni. We've stayed in touch with them over the years, and the departments have a really great sense of connection with them. So sometimes departments will also have alumni come back onto campus to meet with their students, which is really great. And then this past year, we had more than 4,500 applications for about 350 spots, and that's just specific to our master's programs. So our programs are really competitive, and our applications are actually going up each year, so that competitiveness will increase with each growing year, passing year. Just to talk a little bit about some of our alumni, the student on the left is Nico Skavatsky. He graduated in 2010 from our Master of Arts in Economics program. Nico's had a number of different ventures into the entrepreneurial space. He started a number of his own companies. He now currently works for a company called Redox, which does digital marketing, which he started with a friend. And a lot of those skills that he had for starting those companies came from some of the stuff that he got from his program, and also from support of the faculty that he did throughout the program. The student in the middle is Yifan Zhu. She graduated in 2017 from the Master of Arts in Economic Policy program. She was our first ever Luling Z Scholar, which is a full tuition scholarship offered for graduate students, which students can apply for as part of the process. She now currently works for Huawei Technologies back in China as a research analyst. And she was able to really get that job through connections through alumni here at Boston University. And then the student on the right is Shane Hennessy, who graduated in 2017 from the Remote Sensing and Geospatial Sciences program. Shane now currently works at Biogen, which is a company just outside of the Boston area. Again, another company where we have really great connections, and we've seen a lot of alumni from that program actually enter into there based on connections they've made through other students. So I'm going to transition to life at Boston University, but before I do, I just want to pause to see if you guys have any questions. And as I was mentioning before, feel free to send those into the chat box. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any questions for right now, but as I was saying, there will be time at the end to answer further questions. So just in terms of campus life, our campus runs for a 2-mile stretch along Commonwealth Avenue, which is a main stretch of Boston University's campus if you haven't been here before. Our main building is located in a central portion of the campus. As I was saying, we're close to the Student Union, the Fitness and Recreation Center. We're also close to Kenmore Square, which is a really nice hub for restaurants. It's close to Fenway Park, where the Boston Red Sox play, which is probably about a 10-minute walk from our campus. We also experience all 4 seasons, as we do live within New England. One of the areas of our campus which is really beautiful is Bay State Road, which is pretty close to our campus. There's a number of student residences there. It's really easy to see the shift in seasons as it moves forward. Currently, as we're shifting from fall into winter and the leaves and the trees are falling off, they're starting to change color. Today is a little bit colder, so we're starting to shift more into that winter weather. But that road is really beautiful during winter when there's a lot of snow on the ground, and it's really more of a picturesque scene. Just to talk a little bit about the Fitness and Recreation Center as well, which I was mentioning before, all students who enroll as full-time have access to the gym. It's part of their student plan. So they can go with their student ID, swipe into the gym, and access it whenever they'd like to. It's a really great facility. They have a Olympic-sized swimming pool, a rock wall which students can access, a number of open spaces if they want to play basketball or other games. I actually was an undergraduate and graduate student here at Boston University. I went to the Fitness and Recreation Center quite often. I was able to take a class there as well. I took ballroom dancing my freshman year, which I discovered was not my best skill. I'm not quite coordinated in dancing, but it was a lot of fun, and I got to try out something new that I never would have experienced otherwise. So that was a really great perk of being a BU student. In addition to having these really great facilities, they also host a number of on-campus events, which students are welcome to participate in. We have a few improv groups, if that's something that you participate in. We have hockey games, which are really big here on campus, which is one of our sports teams. And then if you currently play intramural sports, you can also participate that as a graduate student. And then just to clarify as well, the photo shown on the slide here is of our BU Beach, which is a grassy space on campus. There's a little hill in the middle, so the photo's not distorted. It's just the way that the grass is shaped. And that view overlooks the Charles River. So it's really great on a nice day like summer. Students can sort of lay out, read books, maybe do homework, and sort of just soak up the sun while looking at the Charles. Just to talk a little bit about the city of Boston as well, we have a couple of different shopping centers. So there's the Prudential Center, which is a larger shopping hub, which is the photo on the left. Close by to the Prudential Center is Newbury Street, which is a long stretch of tiny, smaller shops right near the Prudential Center. They've got some common ones that you've probably seen, and then some smaller, quirky ones. There's a shop dedicated to Harry Potter, which has been changing in the past few years, so a lot of people typically stop by there. We have a number of different centers for theater, music, and art. There is the Museum of Fine Arts, which is shown here on the slide, which is free for all students in Boston, for BU. So they can go and get free tickets, which I did as a student several times as they changed their exhibits throughout the year. We also have over in the Cambridge area, a place called the Art Theater, where they do a few musical performances, some of which have ended up on Broadway. So those are pretty reasonable, cheap tickets for students to be able to go to if they're really interested in musical theater. And then we also have a number of sporting events. So as I was mentioning, Fenway Park is about a 10-minute walk away from our campus. We have the Boston Celtics, which is our basketball team, which is just a subway system ride away. We have the Boston Bruins, which is our hockey team, which is also just a subway system ride away, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. So they're all really accessible and options for students to take a look at if they're interested in. Just to talk a little bit about our housing options. We have 2 on-campus housing facilities just for graduate students. There's Peabody Hall, which is shown in the photos here. That's a new graduate housing unit right in the southern portion of campus. And that offers apartment-style housing. Typically, students might live with a few roommates, but all the rooms come fully furnished. So that's really helpful. And the price range for those is around $750 to $800 a month, depending on how many roommates and the size of the room. We also acquired a building recently called 580 Commonwealth Avenue, which is also a graduate student housing unit. Just to give reference for the distance for that one, our office building, which is located in the Arts and Sciences, is 705 Commonwealth Avenue, and this one's 580. It's probably about a 5 to 6 minute walk, so it's really close and accessible for campus. It's probably the one that would make the most sense for our graduate students, and that one also recently opened as apartment-style housing. Typically, what we've seen in the past is that students live in off-campus housing in one of the nearby neighborhoods, such as Allston, Brighton, and Brookline. Just to give a little background about those, what I mean by nearby neighborhoods are ones that border our campus. So they're really close. For students who live in Allston, they could either walk on the campus or they could take a subway ride or a bus ride, which might be 10 minutes or so. I currently live in Brookline and I walk to work, and that's 20 to 25 minutes usually for me. So it's pretty close. So even though students might be living off campus, they're still really accessible for where they would like to live. And again, for those off-campus housing spaces, usually students might live with a number of roommates just to help defer some of the cost. We also offer a number of student groups. There are specific ones for master's students, including the Graduate Student Organization, or GSO. That's open for both master's and PhDs, and it's all student run. So they offer a number of different events throughout the year. They also connect students with alumni and help to make some of those networking connections that are helpful after they've graduated. And then we also have the Graduate Women in Science and Engineering, or GWISE, which is a partnership with the engineering school. And similar to the GSO, they offer a number of events throughout the year that help connect students with alumni and network, and also learn some key graduate skills that have previously been learned by other graduate students, which is helpful for some of our new students. And you don't have to be a woman to join the group. If you're interested in promoting women in the fields of science and engineering, it's open to male students as well. And then in terms of department-specific groups, we have the Graduate Economics Association, or the GEA, the Earth and Environment Association, and what we call BUCASA, which is the Boston University student chapter of the American Statistical Association. So we will transition now into talking a little bit more about the application process, but I do again want to pause to see if you have any questions about campus life or housing. So it looks like we do have a question about specifically about a program. I will note that we'll be covering specific program materials in just a little bit. So I can cover that when I talk about the computer science program. Great, so I will dive into the application process. In terms of our required components, all of our programs require an unofficial transcript of completed coursework, which must be English translated for some of you who did international work. They do require courses, transcripts, even from institutions where you may have taken a few courses here and there. If they're not listed on your main transcript, we will need that additional one. So for example, if you studied abroad at George Washington University and you studied abroad in Paris, and those courses aren't listed in your transcript, we would need both transcripts shown as part of the application process. And all of those transcripts are uploaded through the application system. It could be a screenshot from your student portal. It could be a scanned copy of your official transcript. Either way works for us in terms of what you would need to submit. We require anywhere from 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, and it varies a little bit by program, so you'll probably want to look at their specific requirements. I'll talk a little bit about what we sort of look for in terms of letters of recommendation, but those are also submitted electronically through the application system. We, for some of our programs, require official GRE scores reported through ETS. We require official TOEFL scores or IELTS for international students, and then we also require a personal statement, which again, I'll talk about in just a little bit. Some of our programs may also have additional application components like a writing sample or a CV, so I just recommend checking to see which ones are specific to the program you're looking for. In terms of recommended timeline, I would recommend starting 2 months before the application deadline, just to make sure that you have signed up for the GRE test if it's required as part of your program. You've connected with your recommenders to make sure that they can submit your letters and that they can get them in a timely fashion. I know sometimes faculty, if they're submitting letters, they might be busy with the semester, and so it might not be readily available for them to complete the letter. So letting them know at least 2 months in advance is usually helpful for them to be able to submit them. And what we usually recommend for testing is to take the GRE or TOEFL in the fall. That way the scores are ready, as some of our application deadlines are typically in the spring. And then for some of our programs, they have a priority deadline. This is for students to submit their application and to get decisions back sooner. So I would recommend taking a look to make sure that your program might have a priority deadline. You can always submit your application after that time, so there's no block on that. It's usually just to get a earlier decision. So just a couple tips and pointers. You want to be really selective with your recommenders. And what we're sort of looking for is for that recommender to speak to your ability to complete graduate level coursework. So if you have a faculty member that you've done graduate level coursework with at the undergrad level, if they've worked with you on a research project or they've seen you in a teaching capacity, those are all really helpful professors to have as your recommenders, as they can speak to what your ability would be like as a graduate student. We do sometimes have students who are coming from the professional field who might be out of school for a few years. If your professional recommenders can speak to your ability to manage multiple projects, to really focus in on a specific area of coursework, that might be helpful skills to translate into graduate coursework. So usually what we recommend to professionals is to have at least one academic reference, but the other two can be professional resources. And then really use your personal statement to your advantage. That's your opportunity to explain to the admissions committee why they should pick you to pursue the program, where your backgrounds and skills are really going to apply, and what you're hoping to do after graduating from the program. It's also an opportunity if you have areas of your previous coursework that might not be exactly clear to the committee to really elaborate on those and let them know where that piece might be. So if you we're having some difficulty in your first 2 years of coursework, but you did a lot better towards the end. If you want to have the opportunity to explain it, that would be a really great time to do it during your personal statement. And usually what we see is that they're around 1 to 2 pages. They can be more than that. Usually we recommend at least one. But if you would like to further explain anything else in your background, feel free to do so through the personal statement. And then really try to complete your application prior to the deadline. And what we mean by that is not just submitting it, but making sure that your letters of recommendation are in place, your test scores have been submitted and are matched to your application. We can always attach the scores afterwards. So if you're taking your test right before the deadline, you can submit your application and the scores will be attached afterwards. But usually we recommend that students have everything in place by that application deadline. Just to talk a little bit about financial aid, we do offer merit-based scholarships in many of our departments. It varies depending on what they might cover, but the majority of them offer scholarships for our master's students. Some of them may also offer teaching or research assistant opportunities. Typically what we find is that it might not be offered during that first semester that students enroll. Usually it's through connections they make through faculty, through some of those first courses. So if they really connect with a member of the faculty and they have a need for a teaching assistant for the second semester, they might coordinate with the department to hire that student, but typically it wouldn't occur during that first semester. And then for some of the departments, they recommend applying by that priority deadline to be considered for scholarships, such as our economics program. Students can be considered for scholarships even after the priority deadline, but usually they recommend be reviewed in that first round. For our domestic students, typically they might apply for a number of loans to help cover the cost, usually federal loans to do that. The application process does differ from undergraduate. So as part of that process for admitted students, we do reach out to help coordinate that process, as it can be a little bit of a transition from undergrad to graduate. And then for international students, there are a number of specialized loans. We have a number of that some of that information up on our website, but we're also happy to coordinate with international students to let them know which opportunities they can pursue to help cover some of the cost. So I am going to dive into the programs of interest that some of you have covered. Do you have any questions about the application process before we go into that? So we have a question about the transcript process. So the student would submit the transcripts from their end. Any transcripts that a student submits, we would interpret as unofficial. So if you have your official transcript that you've received and you scan it into the system, because it's coming from the student side, which it can or cannot be potentially tampered with, we would consider it unofficial. So any transcript submitted as part of the application process would be considered unofficial. In terms of the letter of recommendation, letterhead is not mandatory. I would say typically we find that they are on some form of letterhead. The letters are signed by the recommenders themselves, but it's not required to be on letterhead. Great. So I will dive into the programs of interest, and we will have time at the end for any questions, which might cover any part of the presentation. Within our Department of Economics, we have 3 programs: the Master of Arts in Economics, which is a 1-year program; the Master of Arts in Economic Policy, which is a 1.5-year program or 3 semesters; and then the Master of Arts in Global Development Economics, which is a 1.5-year program as well. For the Master of Arts in Economics, students start off their first semester with their core courses, and then they can take a number of electives depending on which areas they want to focus on. As I was mentioning earlier in the presentation, those could involve courses through the Questrom School of Business or other schools on campus that might include statistical software, or if they're looking for a programming language background, which might be helpful. Typically, students might go into positions as analysts or consultants within financial institutions. I know we have a number of students who have worked for World Bank after completing the program. For the Master of Arts in Economic Policy, typically students will enter into fields as consultants or analysts in government and NGO organizations domestically. So that program has the similar set of core courses as the MA in Economics, and then they have 2 semesters where they're really grounded in elective coursework focused on policy issues. And then the Master of Arts in Global Development Economics is similar in economic policy in terms of their job outcomes. It really focuses more on international policy. So students might work as consultants or analysts in government or NGO firms that cover global issues. In terms of backgrounds, students can come from a number of different backgrounds for these programs. Typically for the Global Development Economics, they look for people who have specifically an economics background. But for all 3, they would consider students who have a stronger quantitative basis. So even students who might be coming from a mathematics or statistics background, or even computer science, who have that strong background in quantitative focus can pursue these programs. And we do have specific faculty focused on our master's students. So there are faculty that work directly with the PhD, and then master's faculty who work directly with our students, which they found really helpful for getting those grounded courseworks and being able to make those connections for after they've graduated. In terms of our computer science department, we have 4 programs: the Master of Science in Computer Science, the Master of Science in Computer Science with specialization in cybersecurity, the Master of Science in Computer Science with specialization in data-centric computing, and the Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence. All of these programs are typically completed in 3 semesters. So students would take 3 courses in the fall, 3 courses in the spring, and then 2 courses either in the summer or in the following fall. And students might complete an internship as well as part of the program, either in that summer or fall semester. Students don't have to specifically have a computer science background to apply. If they have pursued another program and they have some experience in computer science coursework, they can also be admitted into the program. Typically, what we see is that students who don't have those backgrounds that might need a little bit more help, they might be assigned co-requisite courses. So they might enroll in those courses 2 in the fall while they're also taking the 1 core course, which would help to bolster some of the knowledge that they may not have from their previous degree. And the computer science program is really great at connecting their students with alumni and companies in the area. They offer a specific resource day called CS Day, which is where past alumni will come onto campus, employers will come onto campus, and that is an event solely just for computer science students. So it's really specialized for them, which is helpful. And our artificial intelligence program is new as of this fall. We're really excited to see where this inaugural class will go after graduating. There are so many different opportunities that are open with this field in terms of healthcare, healthcare technology, personal assistants like Alexa and Amazon, and lots of other opportunities that are sort of emerging within the artificial intelligence field. For our biology program, for the MS in biology, there are 3 different tracks. So there's the coursework track, which is 1 year in length and covers 8 different courses. So students might be able to use that either to apply to medical school or to go on to further careers within there. There's the scholarly paper track, which is 3 semesters or 1.5 years in length. It involves the coursework portion, but then also encompasses a thesis, which they would work on with a faculty member. And then our research track is 2 years in length, and that's an integrated research project with one of our faculty members. So it's a one-on-one partnership, and they would focus in on one of 4 different areas: cell and molecular biology, neurobiology, marine science, and ecology. In terms of where we typically see students fall, we have a good amount of students within marine science and ecology. We do have a number of students who partner in cell and molecular biology, who might partner with other programs on campus. And then our neurobiology has a number of different research facilities on campus. More so our Center for Integrated Life Sciences and Engineering, which is a partnership between the psychology department, the biology department, and our biomedical engineering faculty. Within our mathematics and statistics department, I know I've talked a little bit about it, we have the Master of Science in Statistical Practice, which is a 1-year program. That was the program where students participate in their consulting project. And the consulting project is actually part of their courses. So they would enroll in the consulting course in the fall and the consulting course in the spring. And then after the spring, they would finish up with their project, deliver their product, and then can pursue their careers from there. And students don't have to specifically have a background in statistics to apply. The program is designed for students to come in from a number of different backgrounds, really ground themselves in these key statistical concepts, and then be able to use them to apply out into the field. We also offer the MA in Statistics, which is a 1-year program. Typically prepares students to pursue PhD coursework, so to continue onto that field. And it is grounded in a number of really fundamental concepts. So we have also had students pursue careers after graduating from the MA in Statistics as well. Within the Department of Earth and Environment, we have the Master of Arts in Energy and Environment, which is a 1-year program, and prepare students to pursue careers in energy consulting. We have a number of connections with Boston area firms, as well as firms across the US, in DC, and California. So a lot of our alumni have been able to work in there, and they're really great connections for our students. And then for the Master of Arts in Remote Sensing and Geospatial Sciences, that's also a 1-year program. And a lot of our faculty are really engaged in current research projects that apply to current career coursework. So students are able to really work on those projects that can help them really gain skills that they can apply to the field afterwards. We offer within the Department of American New England Studies, the Master of Arts in Preservation Studies, which is a 3-semester program. It's really great, especially within the city of Boston. There's a number of different historical structures here for students to work with, and it's really more so focused on historical preservation of buildings within the area. So students can choose an area of concentration to focus on, like museum studies or archaeology, and they have the opportunity to work with a number of different projects in Boston, as the program has been around for a lot of years and has a lot of really great connections in the city. And the faculty are really well connected, not just within the US, but also globally within a number of different professional organizations around preservation. I do want to add as well, this photo here is of Bay State Road, which I was mentioning earlier. This is, although the leaves are mostly fallen off at this point today, this is what a typical view would look like during fall along Bay State Road. Within our psychology department, we have our Master of Arts in Psychology, which is a 1-year program, and really typically prepare students for careers to pursue a PhD program after applying. Although students can use this in a number of other fields, such as human resources, or areas where they might need those core psychology skills. They focus on one of 3 areas, which are clinical, developmental, and brain behavior and cognition. We just started a brand new program in literary translation, which is the MFA program. It is a 1-year program which prepares students to go on to translate new literature in a number of different languages. This came about as we have a number of translation seminars that we offer throughout the year. There's a lot of really great interest in there, and our faculty are really passionate about this subject. So we've decided to pursue this program. And as part of it too, the department awards scholarships up to 50%, which is really helpful for students in terms of deferring the cost. So that covers a number of our different programs. If the program that you're interested in isn't listed there, feel free to ask in the chat box towards the end, and I'm happy to cover that as well. So just in terms of why choosing Boston University, we have a large number of professional master's programs that will really prepare students for their careers in their field, or if they want to pursue PhD programs after they've graduated. A lot of our programs are really flexible about being able to work with students on that process. And our faculty are really geared specifically for our master's students on being able to prepare them with the skills they need. And as I was mentioning earlier, that sense of collaboration is present not just in our students, but also with our faculty, and being able to work together on multiple projects to be able to tackle these goals. We have a really strong alumni base with a number of connections across the globe that we're really well tapped into. So depending on the career path that you are looking to pursue, we most likely have at least 2 or 3 alumni who might have pursued that path that we can connect you with to really help you get where you need to go. And the city of Boston itself is really vibrant. It's got a lot of really rich history. I once heard it described as the students who live in the city breathe life into the city, and the city breathes life back into the students. So it really has this great relationship of being an academic city, very lively in terms of the student body, but then the rich history of the city also breathes life back into the students. And just in terms of my experience for being both an undergraduate and graduate student, when I first came onto campus here at Boston University, one of the things that really struck me is how integrated it is into the city itself. We definitely have a defined BU campus, but we've sort of melded into the city of Boston. And for me, that means being able to really pursue opportunities outside of here, and being comfortable being able to walk off campus and go where I need to go to be able to pursue my goals. And that's really the way that I've sort of taken it from my experience here at BU, is that I get the rich experience of being on campus, but I also don't have any hesitation about being able to reach out and go and pursue my goals. So that concludes the presentation. I believe I saw a few questions, but feel free to submit any that you've had throughout the course of the presentation as well. So it looks like we had a question about economics. In terms of people who are already currently in the field, we've seen students who might need more grounding specifically in core economics concepts. So maybe they've been following more of the finance route, but they want to have more of the basis of broader macroeconomics as part of their career. They might also be using that as leverage to move further in a higher position in their career. So depending on where they are in the field, maybe a master's degree in an area like economics might help them to pursue the next tier in terms of job opportunities. The master's degree is terminal, so students don't have to continue on to the PhD, but they could pursue it if they want to. So usually if they are interested in pursuing the PhD, they can let the master's director know, and he's really great about connecting them with faculty that might be helpful to help that pursue that goal. They usually often pursue a thesis as well, which is not required as part of the current program. Great question. So we have a student who's asking about the new Center for Computing and Data Sciences, which is opening in 2022. The center will be a number of different things. It will be a space, I believe there'll be a few classrooms in there. It will be a collaborative space for faculty who have research projects, but it'll also be a collaborative space to work on projects across the city of Boston. So it'll really open up opportunities for students to be able to pursue more research within there. There'll also be a number of opportunities for speakers to come on campus and work with some of our faculties, so to have those connections for our students. It's also going to be integrative in terms of the number of programs offered there. So I know typically students might think of that area specifically just as computer science, but data science might include fields like biostatistics, statistical practice. We have a number of business analytics programs that are offered throughout campus. So it's going to be a hub for a number of different programs that are currently offered in different areas of our campus to really have one space to collaborate and work together and have our faculty come together. So in terms of the impact of our programs, it will really expand the number of opportunities for them to work on projects and to have collaboration with different areas of the campus and Boston. Does that cover the questions about econ and the new center? Do you have any questions about campus life? Oh, sorry, there was a question. Is GRE required for the MFA in translation? I believe it is. Let me just double check on that real quick. The GRE is not required. For the MFA in translation, they do require a personal statement which specifically covers the proficiency in language that students want to translate from, a sample of critical writing, and a translation sample. So a number of other additional components. So for the Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence, they do require official GRE scores and TOEFL or IELTS. I do want to add as well for international students that if you completed a degree in the US or in an English-speaking country, you would not need to submit TOEFL or IELTS scores. Do you have any additional questions about campus life or the application process? So it looks like we have a question about interviews. They are not required as part of the application process. And typically departments don't offer interviews due to the larger number of applications. When decisions are sent out tends to depend a little bit on the programs. I know for some of them, for computer science, they do them on a little bit more of a rolling basis. So typically they'll start sending them out February, March, and then they send out them in waves depending on when students apply. So for those programs, I'd recommend students typically apply by January 1st if they can, although the deadline is May 1st, so they have until then to submit their application. But the sooner that they apply, the sooner that they'll receive a decision back. So it looks like most of the questions have been answered at this time, but I also recommend anytime if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is here, but I will be sending out a follow-up email as well, so you'll have my information there. Feel free to reach out about any parts of the application process, even after you've submitted and have questions about it. I'm happy to help throughout the process. So I will wrap it up, and I hope you guys have a great day.